Aloha, everybody. It is I, the Great Clement, and today we have a very special episode of C Squared because I have with me in person my co-host, my lovely and talented co-host. Introduce yourself.
What a lovely introduction. Oh my gosh. I love the words that you used. Hello, everyone. If you don't know who I am, then I don't know what you're doing here. But I'm Caro.
This is episode 11. I'm pretty sure they know who we are by now. God.
No, but someone might have, watched your Tekken video and might have clicked on it, this, video right here. They wanted to see, oh, what's the deal with C Squared? What is this C Squared? But hi, I am Caro, and I am here with Clement right now. I could poke him like I'm doing now.
Stop it. Stop it. No. I don't like when people poke me. It's sharp and pointy, and it makes me feel bad. But yeah, folks, been a while since our last podcast. In fact, well, it wasn't the last podcast, but it was the one before that. I remember we were very happy about the direction the WWE has been going down, and that, Vince McMahon's gone! Yay! That didn't last, did it?
We'll get to that, but that seems to not be lasting.
Yeah, so we're in person. Caro is a little sniffly, so you might hear her, sniffing and wiping her nose with the handkerchief. I don't have an optimal audio setup here in this hotel, so, we're just going to do the best we can, and that'll be that. She's drinking from water right now. You might have heard the smacking of her lips as she enjoyed her refreshing, cool drink.
If there's anyone to blame springtime allergies, because they are a bitch.
Hell yeah. So, Kara, how are you enjoying the true north? The true north of Canada?
Well, it's actually been very wonderful because there's been lots and lots of snow.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that y'all think the snow looks ugly right now, but for someone who hasn't gotten, an inch of snow, which is weird for, the Philly area, because we got, a brushing of snow on, 2 days.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've just have not seen any snowfall at all, and it's really weird. And I like the snow. I love seeing it. So coming here and just traveling in, I was like, snow. Yes, finally. And I would say that I've gotten a winter's worth of snow in the entirety of the trip.
Nice. Yeah, I was worried about the cold, really. Because I was I know you're very, very sensitive to cold. We were in Toronto and Philly, and there were parts where, I wouldn't find it cold, because I know what true ice and wind chill and all that stuff feels like. And I'm like, this ain't cold at all. But you hung in there. You're good. Nothing went wrong.
I think I passed the test.
Yeah. You could endure the harsh winters of Canada, I believe.
I definitely can. I just need to bundle up like it's a Christmas story. I'm just a snowball that you can just push around.
Like you're Kenny from South Park?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice having her here. We're doing the first live C Squared. And I guess we'll start off with the big thing that a lot of people might be asking about. There's been a major change in my online presence because I left Twitter. I'm done with it. I'm done with social media. I don't want it anymore. I escaped from Twitter's clutches. And I just wanted to talk about it really briefly for this podcast, just to give people, from my own words, not from a small written statement, not from a community post. I want it to be on the record why exactly I got the hell out of there. And I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. But, it all started, back in, I think it was March, it was February. It was February, because Elon Musk, as I've covered in the last podcast, has taken over the platform, and he's been making a lot of dumb, stupid changes, and he's just been making an ass of himself. And one new change he implemented in February was that the two-factor authentication...
Two-factor authorization.
Two-factor authentication. That's the word I'm looking for. Authentication system is going to be demolished in favor of verify keys and authenticator apps and stuff, which, I understand there's going to be a lot of naysayers saying that, Clement, two-factor is not that safe. Anyone can just contact your phone company, blah, 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 blah. Yes, but you have to put in the effort is the point. There still has to be a significant effort to find out which phone company I'm under, where exactly my name and address and all that other stuff is, and it's still something. It's still something. And that wasn't really the reason. It was just a multitude of reasons of like, all right, that's the last straw. Like that was like, because I have a security key. It's on my keychain. I use it for YouTube. I use it for, I have it for Twitter. It does work for Twitter. And it's the only thing protecting my account on Twitter now because they got rid of the two-factor. But it's not that I don't have the tools to protect myself. It was just, I was sick of that website and I was sick of the doom scrolling. I was sick of the negative vibes. I was sick of the, I swear Twitter is the reason I don't have much love for Sonic fandom anymore.
For sure. And I definitely am with you on that part.
Yeah. I love Sonic as a franchise. I love the games. I love the character. I like the actual people making them. I like the actual social media team. It's like, I have no issues regarding Sonic stuff. Even the movies have been awesome lately. Frontiers is great, and I'd put it in my top 10 favorite Sonic games of all time. I loved Frontiers. It was fantastic. But the reason I always feel so like, ugh, when it comes to Sonic is like, having to interact with the fandom who always seem to have some bug up their ass, some hot take, some thing. Sonic's quills are too long. Why didn't Sonic just immediately kill that villain in the comics? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't and it's just like it beats you over the head when you've experienced it for like more than a decade. And I couldn't take it, man. I couldn't take it, man.
You don't like role-playing as Flynn Rider from Disney's Tangled and having 30 to 40 different swords pointed at you at the same time, asking you, what opinion will get you ostracized on Twitter.com?
It's either Flynn Rider or John Wick. Just the swords. Whether it's the swords or the guns, I swear to God, if I have to see that thread for the millionth time, I'll go crazy, man. I'll go crazy. I've seen it all the fucking time.
Also, sometimes your unpopular opinion actually isn't that unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
But, first of all, congratulations for leaving Twitter.
Thank you.
I congratulate you. Because I know that, like, the unfortunate thing about being a content creator is, like, building your brand. And I mean, building your brand is great, but a lot of that requires you to be on social media and have like an Instagram or a TikTok or a Twitter or whatever platform that you want to use. And that can get exhausting. I feel like it's something that you have to like balance your time with, but at the same time, it's absolutely viable to just like leave.
Yeah. You know what also sucks about being a content creator that like other content creators don't really talk about is like you get in it long enough and you start building like this community. Like I'm friends with Some Call Me Johnny. Kid Icarus likes my stuff, and I've contacted him. There's all these big communities that just grow and grow and grow, and I have to keep meeting new people and new people and new people.
Yeah.
And then I have to follow all those people on social media.
Uh-huh.
And while I can mute some of them, I don't want to because I want to find out what they're up to because I do like their posts and I do like their tweets and I want to see what they have to say. But it's just overwhelming. Like I find I can wake up, have breakfast, and then I'll go on Twitter. And I'll just scroll. I'm still finding new posts. Scroll. And all of a sudden, it's 12 p.m. and I didn't get any work done because I've just been, like, obsessed with some angry topic that people have been engaging with, some dunk. I hate quote tweets because all they do is ridicule the person. All they do is point, like, a big target on the person who had a bad take or something you disagreed with so that everybody can see it, so that everybody can dunk on it, and that person's going to see it, I just find that it's a very hostile environment. I want to go back to the way things were back in the pre-2010 days where I wasn't constantly checking what other people were saying all the time on social media. I was keeping to my own thing. I was going to news sites to get any kind of new information, and I'm still up to date with video game information, I still got my websites like Destructoid and stuff that I'm following regularly. I don't need social media for that. I have YouTube subscriptions where Sony or Nintendo or Capcom or whoever will release a new trailer, and I'll be like, oh, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Hey, that's pretty neat. Honestly, ever since I turned it off, ever since I unplugged, I haven't logged in at all. I haven't had that urge to like go back. You know what was weird though? The first 2 days.
Yeah.
The first 2 days, it's like I'll turn on my web browser and I'll go into bookmarks instinctively. It's like the first thing I do as soon as I open my browser. And on the top was Twitter. So I'll just have like this weird knee-jerk reaction where I'll watch a YouTube trailer and then I'll like gravitate to the bookmark tab to go to Twitter. It was instinctual. I didn't really want to go to Twitter. I just felt like doing it. And it wasn't there because I removed it from my bookmarks list. And I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. So that happened for the first 2-3 days or so, but now I've seemed to have broken out of the habit.
Those are just your phantom senses incoming. And I really feel you with, like, Twitter being hostile because, like, it's gotten to the point with me, actually, that, like, I'm still on it, but even I'm nervous about sharing certain tweets or opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where I have had to selectively go to the audience tag and block my wrestling tweets to only mutuals following me.
Yeah.
Because it has just gotten that ridiculous where I am like, I just want to, I don't want my tweet to like leave a circle and then suddenly everyone's like, oh, so you think Hulk Hogan's the worst wrestler ever? Which is actually it's actually a true story of I tweeted Hulk Hogan wasn't that good, kind of as a joke, and also kind of
dare you?
But also, I'm not a big Hulk Hogan fan. It left my circle. I got quote tweeted and dunked on.
Yeah.
I ignored everything because whatever. But like, it's just so wild how you can tweet one thing and then it somehow just leaves your target audience and it can go to other circles.
It's ridiculous. But, there's going to be a lot of people who say, like, well, Clement, social media is kind of a necessity for a content creator like you, and I want to prove them wrong. I want to see what it's like without it. Maybe I do need social media. Maybe I do need some kind of connection to get my stuff out there. But, I think also word of mouth works pretty well. I feel like the angry video game nerd, as popular as he is, he's not always just, like, on Twitter all the freaking time. And he's, like, got millions upon millions of subscribers, and people still check out his stuff. It's still something I just want to see. I just want to experiment, Maybe I'll come back to Twitter one day, but right now I just want to see what it's like being out of that sphere, being out of that bubble. I want to get my head rewired back to the way things used to be. And so far, so good. I'm actually enjoying it. I have felt more productive lately. And it is nice knowing that I don't have to read a hot take when I log onto the internet. And usually, if it's a hot take on YouTube, there's probably well-thought opinions with that hot take because it's from people I'm subscribed to, and I already know that I like their stuff. So,
Or tweets that are like, and this is the other thing I don't like about Twitter, but tweets that are like obviously trolling.
Yeah.
But then it somehow gets spread around, like, it's so easy to, like, bait headlines and bait information that the person making the tweet or content or whatever is obviously just looking to get a rise out of people. So. Yeah.
So I'm done. I don't want it anymore. It's over. If you want to follow me, it's here on YouTube. I have a Discord for my friends. I don't have a Discord for the public. I'm not interested in that right now. And also, if you want to be able to directly message me anytime, that's something I do for all of my patrons on Patreon. Even the lowest tier. If you're paying like $3 a month, I'll happily respond to any messages you want to send my way. But you have to be a donator. You have to donate money because, I'm a greedy asshole.
This was all just a plug for your Patreon.
Yeah, I've destroyed Twitter just so I could increase my Patreon numbers. That's what I did. So yeah, I just wanted to announce, like, I left Twitter. You're going to find the only Great Clement account from me is one that says, I no longer use this app. And if there's another person out there calling themselves the Great Clement using my display picture, not me. I removed all the Twitter links from my YouTube pages. I don't have a direct link on my channel. I am telling you right now, my Twitter's done. My Twitter's gone. I do not operate a Twitter anymore. So be careful who you trust out there because I am not on Twitter, not even as a burner account or anything. I am not on it at all. But anywho, hey everybody, I know at the beginning of this podcast I said we were going to do this live and it was going to be fantastic, and it was fantastic. We recorded the whole podcast. But then Audacity betrayed me because when I was rendering the project, I guess I pulled the microphone out while it was rendering, and that somehow screwed up the file. And I only got like the first few topics from the get-go. So it was like, oh, I tried to recover it, and it said something about orphaned block files or something, and I apparently there's a way you could stitch it together, but it would take an ungodly amount of time for the 2 hours that our podcast was running. And I just don't have that much time on my hands, and we want to get this project out as soon as possible. So we are now redoing the podcast, at least the topics that weren't saved, and that's fun.
I'm missing SmackDown for this, so it better be worth it. But also, given the Twitter news of April 14th, 2023, it is probably a good thing that I want nothing to do with wrestling right now. Tony Khan, control your locker room. That's all I'm going to say.
Good lord, good lord. You know who wasn't in control of their locker room in 1993?
Who?
Nintendo, when they gave the green light to the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie.
Ooh, bad Nintendo. You mean they weren't holding an entire animation company hostage to make the movie great?
It was live action, baby! That thing was filled with crazy costumes of weird green Goomba men and big red trench coats, and it was very, very strange. It was very, very bizarre. And since we're about to talk about the new Super Mario movie in this podcast, I thought it would be a fun idea before we went to see that movie to watch the old 90s movie in our hotel room. Because I own it on DVD. Of course I own the original Mario movie on DVD. Why wouldn't I? And, yeah, before we get into the new stuff, let's talk about the old. Let's talk about that first Mario Brothers movie starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. It's crazy, right?
It really is. Like, it's such a staple of the 90s, and I think it's, like, a good, like, timepiece of what it was. And when you consider a lot of video game adaptations back then were just really weird and just didn't entirely, like, get it, then, you know, it's something to behold.
It's like they knew they wanted to have the elements of Mario, but they were just like, well, it's not very realistic now, is it? That would never happen. An Italian plumber jumping on turtles and eating mushrooms to grow big. We can't realize that. We can't make that a reality in live action because it's not going to be a cartoon for some reason. So they came up with like this bizarre anti-Blade Runner weird universe that's like, okay, in one dimension, humans spawned from apes. We spawned from mammals. And in another dimension, we spawned from dinosaurs, lizards.
Yeah. We spawned from the Rars.
And so in this alternate dimension lives Koopa Kingdom, Koopa Castle Land, Mushroom City. I don't know what they call it, because I don't think they ever say it in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's headed by King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper, who I think is trying to be Donald Trump, but I'm not sure.
It kind of reminded me of him. In, like, his stoic business ways.
He's always wearing a suit. He's got this big Koopa tower that he operates from. And,
yeah.
You know, he just wants to get some land. He wants to take over our dimension. He wants to take over the human dimension so that he can have more prime real estate, don't you know?
Yeah.
And then there's, like, the royalty that he took over from and the daughter who got away. The princess. Princess Daisy.
Wait. Where's Princess Toadstool?
That's too cartoonish, Kara. That's too cartoonish. It has to be Princess Daisy.
But it's not cartoonish. It's the lore.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but it was like, I feel like the reason they chose Daisy is because back in 1993, the princess was just Princess Toadstool.
Yeah.
Like, her name was not canonically established as Peach until Super Mario 64 in 1996. So, like, you watch the cartoons, you play Mario RPG, whatever, from that time period, it's just Princess Toadstool. And it's like, well, she doesn't really have a name, per se. I mean, she does. But what do you call her in 90s Brooklyn, Manhattan, you know? So obviously, when you can't work with that name, well, there's a princess in the Game Boy games named Princess Daisy, and Mario's canonically hooked up with her, so yeah, we'll just do that.
Except she doesn't hook up in Mario in this movie. She hooks up with Luigi.
John Leguizamo.
Bruno from Encanto. Or Sid from the Ice Age movies.
Hispanic Luigi. Anyway, they end up somehow getting into this alternate dimension where Goombas are they're depicted as like reptiles in big trench coats who used to be human-ish until Bowser put them through the de-evolution ray and made them revert back to their dinosaur ancestry.
And they got really, really tiny heads.
They're so cute, though.
I think so, too. What was that scene where, like, they're in the elevator or whatever, and they're playing that song, they're all just swaying back and forth?
Yeah. Mario and Luigi are trying to distract the Goombas so that they don't notice them crawling out of the elevator. And they thought, well, their brains are small. They're not very bright. So we'll just start moving them and swaying them to the elevator music, and then they'll just start dancing with each other and not notice us. Bowser's got his henchmen, Iggy and Spike, who are incredibly stupid. Until halfway through the movie, he puts them in the evolution ray, and he adjusts it so that they're smarter, which I immediately ask myself, well, why didn't he just do that from the very beginning?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why didn't he make them smart from the very beginning? I don't get it.
Because movie logic dictates something, I suppose.
This movie's kind of a train wreck, but
in a good way. It's not like bad. It's not horrible.
No.
I'd watch it over like some of the worst movies, but it's a special kind of train wreck.
I love the production value of this movie because like the sets are all there, it's not CGI, not most of it. And it is a fully realized world where like the cop cars and all the things are like sparking electricity. They all have like these weird designs where like if the police go to the police station, for whatever reason, they can't have brakes on their car. They have to, like, hit this weird slingshot bungee cord in order to slow down and stop in place.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre and strange. The sanitation people are all wearing gas masks and big hoodies, and that's why they're the Sniffets. Ha ha ha, Mario 2. It's such a weird, bizarre universe that if it had no connections to Mario or Nintendo, I actually think it's like really special and bizarre, and like it stands out so much because of that,
Yeah, for sure. I like a lot of its like neon lights and cyberpunky aesthetics, but it's also cartoonish, and I feel like at the same time it retains like the goofiness and the heart of Mario, even though the setting is different from, the original source material.
I think one reason it feels so goofy is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because I'm thinking back to like the police station scene. I'm thinking back to the police station scene where it's like, Mario and Luigi have been arrested. They're in a bizarre alternate dimension. They don't know anything they don't know what the hell's going on. At one point they thought they were going to get executed by like guns because they're handcuffed to the wall, and then these like laser sights start showing up on their heads, and you're just like, ah! But that whole time, the whole time they're being arrested and going through the police station is like this. And you hear that theme so often in the movie. It's like, it's so whimsical and so like happy-go-lucky, even though the things that are happening in this movie are kind of fucking crazy. Because even before they get arrested, Mario and Luigi are walking through the crowd of people, and they get held up by taser by an old lady who fucking tases Mario.
I personally love how they remix the song like in one of the chase scenes. And it's just so goofy.
You gotta. Mario's Italian, after all. It's such a bizarre fucking movie that tries to incorporate everything. It's got Yoshi, it's got Mario 2 things, it's got mushrooms in there.
It's got bob-ombs.
Oh, the Bob-omb, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fear of God that bomb gives Bowser when he first sees it. Like, Mario pulls it out of his pocket, and then Bowser's just like, the bomb. Oh no. This tiny little toy.
It's small but mighty, just like me.
Just like you. I'm going to call you Bob-omb now, from now on.
Bob-omb?
Yeah.
Okay. Bob-ombo. Caro.
What's the pink Bob-omb from the Paper Mario games?
Oh gosh, what's her name? I forget, but I know who you're talking about.
Bombette?
I think Bombette. It's been a while since I played Mario.
Well, you can be
But
her,
her.
because she was the best party member of the original game.
Aww. That means I'm the best.
She had the best ability. She could fucking blow up on every single enemy, regardless of whether they had spike helmets or not. And, like, she did a lot of damage. She was the hardest hitting party member in that game, by far. If this was Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, I would say that you're Vivian, who is my favorite party member in that game, because Vivian was a force to be reckoned with. Good lord.
Oh, Vivian's great.
We'll talk about Paper Mario one day.
We should talk about Paper Mario for an episode. I love to talk about how they were wonderful memories to be made, and then it kind of just falls off. But anyway.
Uh-oh. I love Bob Hoskins in this movie. I think he's actually a perfectly cast Mario. Like, whereas everyone was, like, really iffy about Chris Pratt being Mario for the new movie, I'm like, oh, Bob Hoskins, perfect casting, you know? You gotta remember, this is before 1996. We don't have the, woohoo, it's a me, wa la la. We don't have that Mario. The only Mario we have is, like, Brooklyn Mario. And he's basically just doing the same voice he did for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
So he's got that Eddie Valiant, like, hey, what's going on? What is this? What is this Mushroom Kingdom? Ah!
I feel like Bob Hoskins thrives well in roles where he's just thrown into different worlds and just deals with the goofiness of it all. Because this is literally Who Framed Roger Rabbit again.
Yeah, kinda. Only instead of interacting with a cartoon rabbit, he's interacting with weird lizards in trench coats. and a big black lady named Big Bertha.
Yeah.
That whole scene where they're dancing in the club to Walk Like a Dinosaur of all songs. And he's like trying to pull the rock off of the necklace around her neck. And it's such a bizarre movie.
Do you walk like a dinosaur, Clement?
No.
Why not?
I have bigger arms. My arms sway normally.
Then shrink your arms somehow.
No! You shrink your arms.
Well, I can't because my arms are already short. I'm lacking in arm strength.
Actually, this leads me to an anecdote about summer school one year. Because in summer school, grade 9 or 10, I had this weird habit where, like, I was imitating Stone Cold Steve Austin too much.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would watch Stone Cold in wrestling, and he always had, like, this really specific walk, you know? Like, his arms would sway from the left and right. And I did that subconsciously without thinking about it at summer school until a whole bunch of people pointed and laughed at me.
Did you Stone Cold stun them?
I wish. I wasn't that badass. I didn't, like, smash cartons of milk together and just, like, down them all in one gulp. You got a problem with a great Clement? Oh, hell no.
If this club ready to walk like a dinosaur, give me a hell yeah.
I'm gonna find King Koopa and stomp a mud hole in him and walk him dry. Where's the rock? What? The rock. What? I need the rock. What? But anyway, final thoughts on the original movie, Kara.
It's certainly not my favorite video game movie or movie in general out there, but I find a lot of guilty pleasure in it. And it's a fun watch. Like, it's not going to be the best movie ever, but like, if you want a sneak peek of like how video game adaptations were done in the 90s and kind of like what the thinking of Hollywood was back then, I definitely recommend it. It's a fun time for what it's worth.
It's something I would definitely consider a guilty pleasure, where it's like, if I was to show my family this movie, they would hate it, and they would be like, why did you show me this? This is awful. But as a capsule of, like, crazy Hollywood movies from the 90s as well as video game adaptations. It's like it's such a fun sideshow of like, this is what they tried to make Mario in the 90s. Isn't that fucking weird?
Yeah.
It's got some funny moments. It's got its charm. I like the soundtrack. It's I wouldn't call it a good movie, but I definitely enjoy watching it for the novelty of what a bizarre fucking thing that it is. So yeah, that's Mario 1993, but that's not the Mario movie that people want us to talk about, is it? Oh, no. They want to talk about the new one that just released in theaters here in 2023, 30 years after the original movie. Isn't that weird to think about?
I know. Doesn't it make you feel old?
It does, because I'm 35.
You were alive when the Mario movie came out.
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, you saw it in theaters. You know where I was in 1993?
I can guess.
Then guess.
I believed you were but a sperm in your father's loins.
Yeah, it was non-existent. How does that feel?
How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel youthful, for one thing.
Oh, good, because it makes me feel old. So, being a 35-year-old bastard, there's not much joy left in my heart. There's not much that can warm me up and make me smile, you know? But something did when we were together, because we went to the movie theater and we saw the new Mario movie, and I had the biggest smile on my face the entire time. I had a hell of a time. I loved seeing the Mario movie.
It was such a good time seeing it, not only with you, but just seeing it in general. It was pretty much everything that I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to contain references and Easter eggs about the Mario lore, while at the same time appealing to, like, children, because, you know, it's Illumination. Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be a really well-rounded movie, and yep, Nintendo did all that and more, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
And I can thankfully say that there was no toad in a thong.
Oh my gosh.
At no point...
Your toads in the thong.
At no point in the movie did I see a Koopa or Mario or anyone wearing a thong like the minions do in the other Illumination movies. So, whew, crisis averted. Best movie ever, 10 out of 10, no thongs.
Well, that's how you know Nintendo really held Illumination hostage while making this movie, so...
Yeah, Shigeru Miyamoto had them at gunpoint. He's just like, don't you do it. Don't put them in a thong. I'll shoot you.
Yo, make this movie good.
This movie can't suck. If it sucks, I'll blow every one of you away. But yeah, I had a great time. The voice cast, you know, everyone was like freaking out about Chris Pratt. Everyone was freaking out because, again, I have to assume part of it is like he's not sounding like the traditional Mario. He's not doing the woohoo, yahoo. He's doing essentially what Mario used to be back in the old days, which was a thick Brooklynite accent. And, you know, early on in this movie, there's already a clip of it that went online. The first time we ever see Mario and Luigi is from their television commercial, which is reenacting the theme song from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah.
You know, when I think of that cartoon, I think about, you know, Lou Albano. The wrestler who portrayed Mario, who was just like, I'm gonna eat some pasta. I'm gonna eat some spaghetti. Come on, Luigi, la la la. You know,
Yeah.
he didn't have that Charles Martinet voice back in the early 90s. He was just a Brooklyn guy. He was just, yeah, I'm a plumber from Brooklyn, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how they frame it so that the game voice, like the woohoo, that silly cartoonish hero voice, is how they portray themselves in the television commercial, and outside of the commercial, he just sounds like a normal New Yorker.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of a brilliant idea because it actually comes into play many times in the movie where when Chris Pratt's Mario is trying to get courage to psych himself up to take out Bowser and his minions, he'll actually revert into the superhero voice that he established for the commercial, but he's doing it for real now, which I think is pretty cute.
It is.
And I thought Chris Pratt did fine. I didn't even notice that it was Chris Pratt most of the time, you know?
I could kind of hear it, but that's just because I'm used to hearing Chris Pratt in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And like, I was kind of more on the pessimistic end, honestly. Just from listening to like the trailers and stuff. But honestly, he did a good job. I enjoyed his portrayal.
It meshed with the universe they set up, and that's all I wanted. Of course, you got Charlie Day as Luigi, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. Seth Rogen was certainly Donkey Kong, and Seth Rogen certainly went as Donkey Kong. So that's a fun image that will never leave my head.
You know, he probably has a clause written somewhere in like his movie contracts that he has to have the laugh in all of his movies. Like, I will not take this role if you don't get me to do the laugh.
Maybe he understands how beloved it is online, and so he's just like, we gotta have the laugh in somehow. I gotta laugh at some point during the movie, come on. So of course, yes, Donkey Kong, he does the Seth Rogen laugh, because why wouldn't he? But I think the standout star for you was definitely Jack Black, right?
Yes, Jack Black, absolutely. Charlie Day, close second. They were both my most anticipated actors for this movie, and they both did a really great job. But Jack Black especially, I could definitely tell that he was having like the time of his life recording that, because Bowser was just amazing.
So one thing that sucks about following the movie as closely as I have is that I would watch all the Nintendo Directs where they showed footage of the movie, you know, scenes from the movie. And, you know, the first thing I ever saw of Bowser was the opening scene where he takes over the Penguin Kingdom and finds the Superstar. And that's like the only thing I've had to go off of what Bowser was going to be like in the movie. He was just going to be very menacing, but also confident and sure of himself. And I was like, okay, I don't know what else Bowser's going to be doing in this movie, but man, I'm so glad all of his best stuff has not been ruined by the commercials or by other trailers or anything, because I had no idea what to expect, and there was some amazing, awesome shit going on with him.
He's just amazing, and I don't know if it's like, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. Illumination already uploaded a video of like, I think is the best Bowser moment in the whole movie, and I'm like, really? You're uploading that? I get it's like a metrics thing for like views and stuff, but I kind of miss the days where you can just like go to the theater and just not have everything spoiled.
Yeah.
You know?
Because there were a lot of jokes in Mario that definitely would have worked a lot better had I not seen them beforehand. Like, there's the moment where he goes into the arena of the Kongs and he's going to face off with Donkey Kong so he can win over the army or whatever. And I already knew the punchline of how that fight was going to start because of the trailers, so I'm sure if I had never seen the trailers, and if this is my first time seeing Mario the movie in its entirety, I would have loved that joke. I would have been just losing my shit in the theater. But because I saw the trailer, I already knew that, like, okay, they're going to be intense, Mario's going to charge at him, and then Donkey Kong's going to bitch slap the hell out of him like he's a plush toy, you know? And that's what happens. Of course, there's more to the fight that hasn't been shown in the trailers, and it does go on, but...
And it's a good fight.
It was a great fight. And, like... But it's just that one jokey aspect of the fight is, like, something I probably would have appreciated more had I not seen the trailers. So I would say, like, if you haven't seen any trailers of Mario yet, somehow, if you've been living under a rock before you go to see this movie, don't watch them. Just go in blind and just watch the movie for what it is, and you'll appreciate all of the jokes, whether it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show thing or the Donkey Kong fight or whatever, because there's a lot of gold in here.
Yep. One of the things I appreciate about this movie is that, like, it's appealing to the adults that grew up with Mario in the 80s and 90s, but it's also appealing to, like, the kids. So, like, to someone who's watching, like, for example, the Super Mario Super Show, like, trailer, the kids are like, oh, this is funny, ha ha ha, but the adults are like, oh no, we know this. We know the Super Show right here.
There's a reference for the material, which is so good to see, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, the musical score.
Oh, the music score was great.
What the hell? It went so hard. It went so intense. It's like, there's so many, like, original pieces to it that are great, but there's, like, also just all these motifs from all these different games throughout the series. Stuff you had to point out to me because I didn't even recognize it at first. Yeah. And then when you did, I was like, oh, it was too. Oh, shit. Yeah. I can't believe they pulled from that game.
It's really incredible, the scope of the, like, score. And I think, honestly, it's, like, one of my favorite scores I've heard in a movie. Just because it's just so fun. And especially if you've been a longtime Mario fan, you'll understand like all the references the music's trying to go for.
The Sonic movie had a few moments like that. It was like at the beginning they had the Sonic Mania opening theme during his like initial like flashback of when he was a kid. And then at the very, very end, there's like a slight Green Hill melody when they're going over his town, like da-na-na-na-na-na. And that's it. That's it. Mostly everything else is just so original stuff. And, you know, you gotta wonder how much of it would be enhanced, how much of it would be made even better if there was just tons of Sonic music scattered throughout that, like, fans would recognize, you know?
For sure.
Because the music's iconic. The music is what we remember about Mario. Everyone loves the like, you gotta have it in the movie, and they do have it in the movie, as well as the Mario 3 music and Mario 2 music and Mario Galaxy music, of all things. Like, there was a lot of pulls from all these different games in the series, and, you know, even like the enemy types, like the little waddling things that Mario sees when he first arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom. You'll be like, oh, that thing's from Mario 3D World. He doesn't interact with it. It's not important. It's not part of Bowser's army or anything. But if you're a fan of the games, you know what the hell that is. And then you're going, oh, that's cute. You know, it's got Mario Kart in it.
Mario Kart's in it, yep. And, like, they reference a lot of other, like, Nintendo games. I won't say specifically if
right.
if that's something that like you're watching out for, but I tapped Clement on the shoulder a few times. I was like, oh my god, they referenced this game and that game and that and that and that.
I remember the first time they were in that restaurant, that pizzeria, and I was just like, whoa! Because I'm looking at the frames of every single picture on the wall, and I know every character in that display, and I was just thinking, oh my god, wait a minute! I know what that game is. I know what that is.
Yeah, I can't believe that game is Yoshi Commits Tax Rod. I can't believe they referenced that in this movie.
That son of a bitch. And, so yeah, there's a reverence of, like, all things Nintendo. There's a reverence of all things Mario. And, you know, the story is not, like, the most complicated thing in the world, but at the same time, it's Mario, and I wasn't expecting anything more.
But, like, that's the thing that I kind of don't get with, like, a lot of reviews, because I know when a lot of my friends or a lot of, like, people that I follow online have reviewed this movie or give impressions on it, for the most part, everyone's enjoyed it, but they always have to preface it with it doesn't have the deepest story. Well, duh. It's an Illumination film. No shit. And, like, I feel like with a lot of kids media, like, it's good to have deep stories, and certainly those can exist, but sometimes I kind of just want to turn my brain off and just, like, watch something fun, you know?
Does every kid's story need to have deep morality? Does it always have to have some deep, crazy message about fucking nuclear deterrence or whatever? Like, they don't all need to be this deep thing. I think Mario has a pretty simple message. It's about a guy who doesn't believe in himself, and then he meets all these colorful characters who teach him to believe in himself, and then at the end, because he believed in himself, he ends up defeating the bad guy. I know, it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but it's a nice message for kids, okay?
It's a nice message for kids, and it's delivered through, like, Super Mario. I would have loved this movie as a kid.
I love that they incorporate elements from the games, you know, like even the very final set piece, characters are wearing costumes that are in the games in a very similar setup from the games that feels like something that actually would be a Mario movie, you know? Yeah. It's not some crazy manufactured thing where like, oh, Mario has a tortured past. Oh, he's actually he was an orphan who was raised by turtles, or, you know? They don't make it like this crazy thing. They manage to give a little more explanation than the games do as to where Mario comes from and stuff. And there's a little intrigue and mystery about how Princess Peach became the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom. But for the most part, it's just being Mario. And that's the sign of a good adaptation, when they actually take the source material and translate it as it is, as us fans actually appreciate it, you know? Despite the character design changes being a little off, like, Mario's mustache hair is a little more defined than it is in the games. He's a little more figured, but he's still Mario. Like, that's the Mario I know and see from the games that I'm looking at on the big screen,
Absolutely. Everything that you said pretty much, like, nails it in terms of, like, what I'm looking for in an interpretation of Mario as a character. It's just kind of like, hey, Nintendo, Illumination, just give me Mario, give me Luigi, give me a colorful world, and we're good. We're good.
Yeah. And, at first I was worried about the movie because it was giving me, like, visual overload. There was too much going on in scenes where, like, Mario gets into the Mushroom Kingdom, and I am looking, like, every direction of the movie theater screen, just being like, oh god, what's happening over there? What's happening over there? What the fuck? This kingdom is too busy. Like, I'm as overwhelmed as Mario is in the movie.
You're definitely gonna have to go frame by frame when you watch this movie again.
Yeah. It's a movie I can't wait to watch on Blu-ray, because then I can, like, pause frame it and just go frame by frame. Oh, I didn't notice that before. Oh, there is a toad in a thong. God damn it. They tricked me. They fucking tricked me.
It only shows up for one particular frame.
But I do think the movie slows down and gets less overwhelming as soon as Mario and Peach leave the Mushroom Kingdom to go find Donkey Kong. I think the movie gets a lot more chill by that point, and then you can follow it along just nicely. It's just at the beginning, there's so much information and there's so much stuff they're throwing at you in the first, like, 15 minutes that it was like, whoa. But I adjusted naturally,
Yeah.
I also like at the end that Luigi got stuff to do, because I was worried that he was going to be a captor the whole movie, because all the trailers just show him in Bowser's prison, he's been kidnapped by Bowser, and I'm like, well, it's the Mario Brothers movie. They got to give Luigi something to do, and they did. At the very end, Luigi definitely joins his brother in the hero-saving stuff, and it's fantastic.
Bless Charlie Day.
Some of the action scenes are just fucking brutal.
Oh, yeah, because, like, animation in general is great, but that's, like, Illumination money. And when you have Illumination money, you can do a lot of wild shit.
It's just like, it started turning into an anime. Like, I was expecting Mario and Luigi to go, oh no. Like, I was expecting them to pull off some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure shit. It was crazy.
Like, the textures on some of the characters made it seem like it was real life, because the Shy Guys are in this movie, and, like, the cloth that they usually wear, I'm like, this looks so real. It feels like there's a person actually in the Shy Guy suit, just walking. It's wild.
Yeah. God, I remember the dry bone sequence was fucking horrifying.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
I'm pretty sure one of the kids behind us at the movie theater were actually genuinely afraid, and were actually like, mommy, because, like, the dry bones are like zombies in this movie, and holy shit. They capture Luigi's panic and Luigi's absolute terrified state, because, oh my god.
Mario, where are you?
Mario! So yeah, I liked how all the characters were handled. I like Donkey Kong's relationship towards Mario. I like his relationship towards Cranky Kong. I like the dynamic of Bowser and Peach. I think that the characters were done justice. The soundtrack is amazing, and it's on YouTube, so you got to check that out.
Yes.
It was just a fun time. I had a big smile on my face the whole entire time, which I think is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. I think, again, importantly, if the adults love it and the kids love it, it's good. Just didn't need to do anything more than that.
Do you like it more than the Sonic movies?
I'd have to watch the Sonic movies again, but this movie's absolutely, like, up there. In general, I just think it's a really good time for, like, video game stuff, because you have The Last of Us on HBO, you have the Mario movie, you have the Sonic movie that came out last year, and it's just a great time for, like, nerd media. It's good shit.
Absolutely. I very much expect there's going to be a Crash Bandicoot movie soon, because of how well both Sonic and Mario performed at the box office. Mario broke the bank. Everyone went to see fucking Mario.
All the showtimes were sold out for us.
Yeah. We struggled to get a seat, and even though it was playing like 10 times in one day.
Yeah.
That's how popular this damn thing is, which, Sonic fans, I'm sorry. I know Mario's more popular than Sonic. That's how it's always been. I know, shocking. But Yeah, it's like when I think of like video game adaptations, I've struggled to say that like Sonic 1 or Sonic 2 was like the best game adaptation I've ever seen because they changed so many things. And it's hard for me to erase my love of Mortal Kombat, the 1994 Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
I just think like, even though it wasn't rated R, even though the fatalities could have been more violent, in terms of like lore and what Mortal Kombat is about, and in terms of like telling a story, like you actually grow to like the characters and their struggles throughout the thing, I've always found Mortal Kombat to be the best video game adaptation ever. I love Mortal Kombat, and it's hard for me to find something that eclipses that as like, boom, what a perfect adaptation. That's a video game movie. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I think I gotta go Super Mario Brothers at the top, number one spot, because this was a Mario game, but as a movie, it was Mario.
Yeah.
That is Mario. Like, there's nothing about it that screams to me, oh, this is so different from the games. Like, no, that was Mario. It is the games. The games are the movie. The movie is the game. If you're playing Mario 3D World right now, or Mario Odyssey right now, you know what the movie's like, because the movie and the games feel so identical. And that's what I freaking love about this movie. I had a big smile on my face. The end credits were fantastic. And it's something that I will definitely buy on Blu-ray when it comes out on home video.
If you haven't seen this movie for some reason, go see it. It's so good.
I had a blast. I love it. I love Mario, so go figure. But it was everything I wanted the Mario movie to be. The animation's fantastic, and I thought the ending was actually really, really fun. So, Check it out. Check out the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I feel like time passed by really fast when I was watching the Mario movie with you. And sometimes you can kind of forget just how great video games can translate into movies and how it can feel so cinematic. You know what's like one of the most cinematic games out there that I got the chance to play for the first time recently? You know.
Do tell!
Well, I had the chance to recently sit with Clement and play through Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and wow. I don't know why I didn't hop on this any sooner. I fucking love these two games.
Yeah, this is your first time playing Metal Gear ever.
Ever.
You've never experienced it. You never watched a playthrough or anything.
Nope. I only know of Snake through Smash Brothers. I would see games on the shelves that didn't interest me when I was a kid. And one of them was Metal Gear Solid, because I would see this serious looking man. I'd see Solid Snake on the cover, and I'm like, oh, it's probably another, like, war video game. And I mean, it is, but...
Kinda.
But it's much more than that.
I mean, I've loved Metal Gear from the very beginning. My cousin showed me Metal Gear Solid back in, like, 1998, 99. He let me borrow it, and he let me play through it by myself. And I just remember, like, thinking, what a cinematic, movie-like experience for something on the PlayStation. Like, from the very first moment when Snake is, like, going through that warehouse and waiting for the elevator to go down, there's opening credits, which I had never seen in a video game before. Like, you'd see, directed by Hideo Kojima, da-da-da-da, on the bottom left side of the screen, while I was moving around and dodging the guards, which was so different. The cutscenes, they go on for ages. Like, you meet up with Otacon, and you'll talk and talk and talk for like 15, 20 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah.
And then you finally get back to gameplay, and it's like, wow, I processed a lot of information about the Hiroshima bomb and Japanese anime and shit. Like, that was not what I was expecting at all.
No. I really loved the game. I loved seeing the story. I'm a very story-based person. So I didn't mind sitting through like a lot of the cutscenes, which definitely favors into playing Metal Gear Solid 2, but we'll touch on that later. I could definitely feel the archaicness of like the PS1 version just because of the time that it was made, but I was definitely more forgiving in that regard, you know?
It was something I definitely took note of when we moved on to the sequel, because it's like, I guess I'm so used to playing the game on the GameCube, because there's the remake, Metal Gear Solid, The Twin Snakes. And the remake changes a lot of things, including the actual boss fight with Metal Gear itself. So, like, when we got to the Metal Gear boss fight in the PS1 original, I was actually stumped. I didn't know how to handle the boss, because it was, like, kicking our asses.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. I fought this thing so many times before in high school. It's so much easier than this. And then I go, oh, wait, that was the Twin Snakes version, which changed up how the boss operated. Oh, wait, whoops.
Uh-oh.
We were playing on normal mode, and there are so many things you have to grasp and, like, get around your head whenever you're playing this thing. Like, you always have to pull out your key cards in order to get through doors. You have to, like, push against walls in order to lean against them and change the camera angle so that you can knock on the wall and, like, get the guard's attention. You have to equip your rations constantly because if you don't, you're going to die a lot. You take a lot of damage in Metal Gear Solid. And when you go to part 2 and you start noticing all the things that, like, are so much better in terms of improvements, like,
Yeah.
they make it so that, like, when you get caught by a guard, it's not just immediately alert like it is in the original. Like, if a guard sees you in Metal Gear Solid 1, you're in alert mode. Everyone knows you're there. Everyone knows where you are. And it's really tricky to actually, like, run away and hide from them. Whereas in Metal Gear Solid 2 and onwards, they have to radio in after spotting you. So, like, they'll see you, and then they'll run away to a hiding spot in order to pull out their headset and be like, look, I saw an intruder! Send everyone! Send backup! And then you go into alert state. And the fun thing is you can actually disable their headsets. You can actually shoot out their radios, and then they can't use it to call anybody even if they see you, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
The fact that Snake can hang off ledges, the fact that he can go into lockers, the fact that he has first-person aiming and can actually shoot a guy in that mode from far away before he even gets anywhere near you. Metal Gear Solid 2, I definitely appreciate how many gameplay enhancements, how many gameplay improvements were made going from 1 to 2 and then the rest of the series. But, yeah, I don't play the PS1 version often. Twin Snakes plays like Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 1 was a different beast altogether, so...
We'll have to try the Twin Snakes version, like, sometime.
Yeah, for
That's what
sure.
I want to see. I wanted to go with the original, just because I kind of wanted to see, like, where the series started and stuff like that. So in that regard, like, I'm grateful that I can see, like, the original aesthetics and what the game was supposed to convey originally.
Yeah.
So that was great. But yeah, like you said, there are definitely, like, a lot more twists and fun stuff about the stealth mechanic in 2. And you say that this carries on into the rest of the series, which is something I'm excited for.
3 adds a lot of cool stuff, which I can't wait to show you that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, I love the characters of Metal Gear. They're always, like, the wackiest bunch of weirdos. Whether it's Otacon, who's always talking about how things are like his Japanese animes.
and pees on the floor. And he's nervous.
I was going to say that the first time you meet him, he pisses himself because he's afraid of the cyber ninja that's trying to kill him with a sword. Snake, I'm like you, I have no name. Let's enjoy this. Hurt me more.
Make me feel alive again.
The Cyber Ninja, you got Psycho Mantis.
I love Psycho Mantis, man. I love him.
The psychic soldier who can read your memory cards as well as vibrate your controller. You like Castlevania, don't you?
And then you're like, wait a minute. How does he know that?
But it's also got, like, such a weird, unique method of defeating him that, like, you'd have to call Colonel Campbell over and over again in order to figure out. But it's also like, when the fight starts up, the screen goes black and you just see, like, Hideo in the top right corner in green letters, like it's a CRT television. Like he's done something to the television to fuck with the boss fight, which is like, why is it like that? I don't know, but Hideo Kojima is a crazy madman.
I know he is. Did that freak you out, like, the first time? Did you actually think that something happened to your TV?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought something was, like, fucked up with my TV. I thought that, like, Psycho Mantis was almost unbeatable, like I was supposed to lose, and then I lost, and then I died, and I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to lose. Oh, God, what do I do? It was such a mind-blowing moment where it was not what I expected Metal Gear to be at all. I didn't expect characters who had psychic abilities. I didn't expect friggin' vampires who can get shot in the head, no problem.
Yeah.
It's craziness. And I didn't expect the most over-the-top villain in Liquid Snake, that's for sure.
Liquid.
I love how much you love Liquid Snake.
I love him so much. I was not expecting to love Liquid Snake in the way that I do now. But I just love his voice and how wacky he is.
My favorite thing about Liquid Snake is how he's always addressing Solid Snake as brother. I've got you strapped to a table, brother. There's no way out. Why do you keep calling me brother? Who the hell are you? Ask the father that you killed. We made fun of his voice so much, like in a good way.
Yeah,
like we were just mocking and pretending to be Liquid Snake that entire week as we were playing through those games, because it is just such a fun voice, and he's just such a camp character that you could make any situation between Liquid and Solid, and it would be like the funniest thing in the world.
And like, how is that organically possible that you can take a Liquid and Solid and put them in literally every single scenario? How many scenarios did we come up with over that last week?
Guess what, brother? It seems that Roman Reigns has retained the WWE title and defeated Cody Rhodes.
Defeated?
You thought he had the gusto to defeat him all on his own, but you did not anticipate that the Usos and Solo would be there by his side, did you? Oh dear, brother.
The Usos and Solo? By his side?
Yeah. Solid Snake constantly is like, we have to open up the PAL card. PAL card. We have to face off with Metal Gear. Metal Gear. He's always repeating what people say to him as a question, you know? It's hilarious.
Yeah. Like, there is a YouTube parody out there, and, it's a parody of a scene in Metal Gear Solid 1, except Liquid Snake is talking to Solid Snake about Big Chungus. And it was already hilarious when I watched it the first time, but after playing Metal Gear, it's even more hilarious, because when you think about it, it actually falls into what Liquid would actually think is a character, which is hilarious.
Yes. It meshes with his values and what he would genuinely care about. Snake, do you like my sunglasses? Oh, it's brilliant.
God, when that twist happened, you can tell them what happened.
I loved your reaction. I loved watching you react to that, because you didn't see it coming, and I was so glad you didn't see it coming. That, as well as the twist that happens at the beginning of 2. Because you loved Liquid so much, and I had to hold my tongue. I had to bite my tongue to make sure that you didn't know that Liquid was in the rest of the series, even though he dies at the end of part 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's gonna love this moment. She's gonna love this moment. This moment's so fucking amazing. So then you get to the beginning of 2, and Ocelot, who got his arm cut off by a ninja, all of a sudden has 2 arms again. And it's like, he got another arm. I guess it's a prosthetic. Because he's not moving it much, it must be a prosthetic. But no! He takes off the glove, and it's flesh. It's a real arm. And then Ocelot, who, has this gravelly voice, is all of a sudden going, "We meet again, brother!" Liquid survives through the body of Ocelot. Fucking loved your reaction. That was the funnest fucking thing I've seen while playing a game with someone else. I was so happy with how you reacted to the game.
Because I was like, what do you mean he's alive again? How the fuck did he survive?
It was the last thing you expected,
with
right?
A fucking arm? What the fuck? Where's the science in this?
Science in a game with Psycho Mantis. Oh, Caro, you ignorant slut.
There better be an explanation for this. And it better make sense.
I guess we'll find out when we get to part 3 and 4.
Dang, okay.
I guess we'll find out. And yeah, people in the comments, please don't spoil 3 or 4 for her, because we're going to play that eventually in like 2 months, and I can't wait to see her genuine reactions to some of the crazy bullshit that happens in those sequels. I feel like every Metal Gear has some ridiculous twist. Every Metal Gear has some ridiculous reveal out of nowhere that's like, what? And 3 and 4 has got some, and they're amazing as well. So please don't spoil 3 or 4. She's only played 1 and 2. And yeah, we had a great time playing them.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think like Metal Gear Solid 2 especially impacted me a lot because I'm still thinking about the game's ending and like how the themes that were portrayed through that.
Yeah.
Even now. And maybe it's been about a week since we beat it. And I'm still sitting over here like, damn. They really expressed those themes back in 2001.
Yeah.
It's like, what, 2023?
Yeah.
This is even more relevant now.
Fucking 22 years ago, they were already talking about all the horrible things that would befall the internet and the things that would get out of our control and the crazy bullshit that we were going to see happen and unfold in front of our eyes. And it's like, oh my god, this is the most prophetic video game ever. What the hell, Hideo Kojima? How did you know? How did you know this was going to happen? Oh god!
Yeah.
It's an interesting game because it's like, you know, when I generally tell people my favorite Metal Gear games, I'm always saying 1 and 3. 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 1 and 3, which is not to say I dislike 2 at all. I like 2 a lot. I love 2 even. But it's not my favorite, and I wouldn't put it as like the starting point of like where to start. To me, you have to play Metal Gear 1 before you play 2. Because so much of Metal Gear 1's existence informs the story and the feelings that you're supposed to have when you go into 2. Like, there's so many, like, coincidences and similarities, like, oh, you go into the base from an underground elevator. Oh, there's a cyborg ninja. You know, this is seeming awfully similar. There's a lot of connections here, and there's a reason for it. And when they drop the truth on you at the end of the game, it's just like, whoa.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. The only issue I really have with 2 in comparison to 1 and 3 is that I find when you're skipping the cutscenes and you're just playing it as a game, there are mechanical improvements over 1, but I think the adventure of 1 is a little more meaty and there's a lot more going on in it. And it's not constantly being interrupted by cutscenes to the point that it's like, holy shit, I walked 5 steps and now I have another 20-minute cutscene, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You'll go from Raiden arriving at the big shell, to immediately seeing Vamp and Pliskin, to seeing Fortune abduct the president, to talking with Peter Stillman and the bomb defusal stuff. It's like, holy shit, I have barely played the game, you know?
Yeah.
I have been sitting here for like an hour and 20 minutes, and I have just been watching cutscene after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. And again, you can skip them, thank God, but holy moly, that's a lot of narrative there, you know?
Yeah, at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, it wasn't something that I necessarily minded.
Yeah.
Because I guess it allowed me to like see more into these characters and dive into this world a little bit more. So I actually enjoyed sitting through them, which I'm told will be a useful asset when we get to like 3 and 4, because apparently those have very, very long cutscenes.
4 is all about fan service. If you've played the previous games, you'll love 4. If you haven't, you'll be so confused. What did you think of Raiden?
I loved Raiden. I think he's a great character. I connected a lot with his story and just seeing how, like, he's so set on, like, this world that he believes in and has been in, but then all of a sudden that just unravels and more things go wrong in the mission and some things are, like, a little bit more suspicious. And he's questioning everything around him, and it just unravels so perfectly at the end.
I just think it's an interesting, bold decision to, like, make him the main character of the game when they did not advertise that at all.
Yeah.
Like, in 2001, when Metal Gear Solid 2 was coming out, you know, you pick up the box at, like, Blockbuster, Snake's on the cover. You look at the back, it's just screenshots of Snake. If you ever watched, like, the E3 trailers, most of it is just Snake from the tanker mission, and they didn't reveal too much of the game. And so, like, you just think it's going to be a straightforward sequel, like, okay, I'm Snake, we're going to take out some more terrorists, this is going to be fun. But then, about 90 minutes in, they completely pull the rug out, and you're Raiden, which is shocking, you know? Like, that is not what you expected. A lot of people, it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, because it wasn't what they signed up for at all, and they were really, like, pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's Snake? I don't want to play as Raiden, this stupid blonde-haired emo boy. What the hell is this?
He's my blonde-haired emo boy, so fuck off.
But I'm saying it's a different time compared to back in 2001, because now Metal Gear Solid 2 is generally well received. People think it's a brilliant game that was ahead of its time, but like I remember back in 2001, in 2002, when it was new, when we didn't have a 3 or a 4 or a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which is one of the greatest games ever, and we have to play that as well.
Yes.
But we didn't have any of this. So for the moment, it was like people just discovered Metal Gear through Solid 1 because they never played the MSX games. And then they get to the sequel, which to a lot of people was the only sequel, and Snake's gone. He's just a background character and you're playing as someone else, which is, interesting. It's interesting. I like the game, but, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think, like, my reception to Raiden is higher just because, like, the whole Metal Gear series is available to me as a gamer in 2023. And I would imagine if you were a gamer in 2001, where only Metal Gear 1 had just come out, you had this preconceived notion that, like, Solid Snake is going to be Metal Gear 2. I mean, they advertised it, they put him on the box art and everything. And I think that part of the reason why Raiden got a lot of polarizing reception back then is just because of that unexpected, oh, well, actually, you're going to play as Raiden here.
I'm glad you're enjoying Metal Gear, and you should look forward to Metal Gear 3, because it's often considered by many to be the best Metal Gear game ever made, so...
Oh yeah, I tweeted about it. I tweeted we're playing 3 next, and the comments were gassing it up, so hopefully, it's really good as y'all say it is. I hope.
Have you ever heard the Snake Eater theme song?
I have.
Okay. I guess that's one of those unavoidable things, but still. I remember hearing that for the first time and just being like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Snake Eater! It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, probably in a future C-Squared, we will talk about Caro's experiences with 3 and 4. But for now, she loves Metal Gear. I'm happy to say, yeah.
I'm in. We're gonna meet the snakes at TMG.
We didn't originally plan to play 2. We were gonna play the first one, and if you liked it, then we could go on to 2. But I didn't know if you were gonna like the first one or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Here's to the future with Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yes.
Anyway, Caro, let's get off of video games for a second.
Okay.
And let's talk about your interest, your biggest interest. WrestleMania was this weekend.
It was this past weekend, and it was great. It was great. Oh, yeah. It was good. It was good.
All right, podcast over. That's all we need to say.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
No controversial ending at all. It was great.
No. It's funny because, like, I was talking to a coworker today that I was catching up with, and we were talking about WrestleMania, and he was like, yeah, that fucking ending was, like, awful, and I was sad about it. And I'm like, I feel you. I'm so sad about Cody losing, man. And we were just talking about that for a good bit, and how no one expected Roman to win, and how, like, everyone's expectations were just subverted, and how it was such a great match, and then it had to have that ending in particular.
Yeah, it really felt like the build-up to that was, like, really leaning towards Cody winning, because, like, yeah. Roman's had the title for 900 days or something.
940 days. That's not the exact now, I know it's in the 940 range. Well, it might be, like, it's probably 950-ish at this point, as of this recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the point was, he's had the title for a while. The bloodline has been a stable for a long, long while. And recently, with the Royal Rumble and stuff, they had, like, Sami Zayn join the group. And then they ostracized Sami and made him uncomfortable, and he eventually betrayed Roman and left the group. And he and Kevin Owens, and now with the introduction of Cody Rhodes, who, he left AEW, he came to WWE, and now he won the Royal Rumble, and now he's gunning for that title. It felt like the bloodline was finally starting to crumble. Like, there were finally chinks in the armor of this crazy faction that's been here for 900 days, just mopping up. And, it just felt like it was time. I feel like if you're a fan, you don't want someone to be champion for more than 3 years without a magnanimous payoff. And this was it. This was the magnanimous payoff people were waiting for. And I guess the way they were booking it, they were just like, no, we got more story to tell. Cody loses.
Unfortunately, unlike Hollywood, not everything can have a happy ending.
I guess not.
But other than that, the event was fine.
Yeah, it was a good event.
The main event of night one was great, and I would say night one was probably my favorite out of the 2 nights. I just thought night one was more consistent. And like, it was just, as Sheamus would say, banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger, culminating in a fantastic tag team main event. And it was just, the right people needed to win. Kevin and Sami deserved it.
Yeah. And again, the way they won it, Sami gave his finisher 3 times to Jey Uso, and it was like, yeah, that's how it should go.
Yep. That was like the only possible way that match could have ended.
I can't believe that my favorite match of WrestleMania involves Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have called that. I would not have called that, but it turns out that Logan Paul, infamous YouTuber who's definitely done some sketchy things in the past, is one hell of a wrestler.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have called it.
He's got a boxing background, so like, you know, he can definitely like fight.
It's just like he's doing like Shane McMahon era like risks, Shane McMahon era like stunts that, and like he sells good, and he's got like such a good he understands the mentality, the psychology of wrestling, if you will. The fact that he's playing the bad guy and he's acting like an arrogant asshole. Yes, I know, comment section. But the fact that he's acting like an arrogant asshole and genuinely like playing with the audience and just like saying all the things he knows would piss them off, it's like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm kind of impressed.
He does, and like, I feel like if you're in a role like that, you need like lots of thick skin, and given, first of all, Logan is a YouTuber, and you need a thick skin to be a YouTuber anyway.
Oh, I know that.
And he knows that celebrities in WWE don't necessarily have the best rap, and you gotta play into that. He's gotta lean into it. He really has to portray himself as an outsider. And
Seth Rollins is always just glorious.
Yes, I love Seth's fashion. Oh, his pink harness was glorious.
He channeled Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, it was great.
While laughing. I love that laugh. It's the best gimmick Seth Rollins has ever had, and I'm so I hope he just stays with it for the rest of his career.
I know, it's so good.
I have so many like videos on my computer of just him laughing, just going ah. It's great. Did you enjoy the assist from Logan Paul's energy brand? Oh, you mean Sensation KSI?
Yes. I think
who I didn't recognize at all when he first showed up.
kind of showing a generation gap here, but like when KSI was unmasked, Clement was like, "Who?" And I'm like, "It's KSI."
You might as well be speaking a different language. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I've never heard of him.
I'm speaking the language of Gen Z, so.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So I'm the boomer.
Yeah, boomer.
I'm 35 years old.
That sounds like a you problem.
Skill issue. Real big skill issue, brah. Any other favorites that stand out?
Definitely Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. That match was amazing. Anything that Gunther touches is literally gold. I have loved all of his Intercontinental Championship defenses lately. And he did not disappoint here. Everyone did a fantastic job. It was the epitome of big meaty men slapping meat. So many slaps and red marks and vigorous strength. I loved it. So good. And I'm especially proud of Sheamus because he's come so far and he's finally getting like the flowers that he's deserved for so long. Because when you consider that he's been in the WWE for a very, very long time, it's kind of wild to see him in the position that he's in now. Like, when he came in, he kind of had like a hot-shotted debut on the main roster where he kind of came in, he took Cena's WWE championship, he was the heel champion for a while, and then when he lost that title, he kind of just floated around in the mid-card. Like, he got the tag team titles, and, you know, he was in a few stables here or there, but I really think it was when Sheamus and Gunther had that match at Clash of the Castle last year that a lot of people finally saw how good Sheamus is.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Extreme Rules last year in Philly, and one of the most popular matches of the night was the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, and everyone was just losing their mind over the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus, and yeah, it's definitely good.
One of my favorite standout matches of the event was definitely Rey Mysterio taking out his shitty son, Dominic.
Family domestic issues sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
We got to see Rey Mysterio beat his kid. It was awesome. No, but seriously, I love Dominic because, like, this is a person I've seen since, like, the mid-2000s. Like, there was a storyline back in the day where Rey was feuding with Eddie Guerrero, and they were trying to claim custody of Dominic, who Eddie claimed was his son. So I've always been aware of Dominic just because of that storyline. But then Dominic started getting into the wrestling business, and he becomes a tag team partner to his dad. And, you know, back when they were a tag team, he was all right. You know, he wasn't, like, blowing anyone away. He didn't do the most amazing promos or anything. But it's like, that's nice. He became a wrestler just like his dad. But then everything changed when he turned heel and he joined the Judgment Day. Because all of a sudden, this kid has just, like, become one of the best heels in all of wrestling right now, to the point where I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch. Like, I love during the match, he meets his sister and his mother at ringside, and his sister's holding, you know, a drink. And so what does he do? He grabs the drink from his sister and throws it square right into her face. It was a good shot, too.
It was.
Holy fuck.
You know what this whole storyline is a lesson in?
What's that?
Don't disrespect your mother. Could you imagine disrespecting your mother and telling her to shut up because I can't? It'd be the end of the world for me.
Maybe when I become a gold platinum YouTuber, maybe. When I get my gold plaque, that's when I'm going to be like, shut up, Mom. When I have 1 million subscribers, that's when I feel I'll have the gusto, the balls to just say whatever I need to say.
Yeah.
But I loved the following SmackDown after WrestleMania when Judgment Day was addressing the crowd, and you had Rhea Ripley, who just became the women's champion, Damian and Finn Balor, but, like, they were doing their own promos and it was all fine. Everyone loves Rhea right now, so everyone's always cheering her no matter what side she's on. But then Dominic picks up the mic and it's just like, chorus of boos, just boo, boo. I was trying to say, boo, boo. They're all booing the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
I love it. I also love that he, like, came to the ring wearing a Rey Mysterio mask, which is interesting because, like, Rey Mysterio has never, ever been heel. He's always a good guy babyface. And I think that has something to do with his height and how you can't take him seriously if he's a bad guy because he's, like, so much smaller than every other wrestler. But I love seeing Dominic wear the mask during his entrance because it was like the first time we got, like, a darkened version, like some kind of Wario or Shadow to the Mario and Sonic of Rey Mysterio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we got, like, a darker version of Mysterio, a dark, evil Mysterio when he was wearing that mask. And I kind of wish that, like, every entrance he did, he was wearing that mask, and then he just, like, tore it up off of his face. That would be amazing.
I loved Asuka and Bianca.
Yeah.
Bianca's a treat. I never saw her, like... I never envisioned her losing the title. So I was going in thinking that, like, she was just gonna retain. But despite that, it was a really great match. Always great to have Asuka in the spotlight at Mania because I think she's, like, an amazing worker.
I think they're both mega stars. I didn't really have any... I wasn't, like, blown away by the match, but I definitely enjoyed it, for sure. I think the only other match I really liked this event was Finn Balor taking on Edge in the Hell in a Cell.
Oh, that was intense, and all the stitches Finn had. Ugh.
Oh, God, yeah. At some point, Edge throws a ladder at Finn's face, And, like, you know something's actually wrong because the camera isn't showing him, and, you know, he's getting attended to by medical professionals. It's like, oh, God. And you see, like, blood droplets on the ring, so you're like, oh, shit, that was probably really, really bad. And, yeah, big-ass gash in Finn Balor's face. But he still managed to continue and do the match, and I thought that was really fun.
But you forgot to talk about the absolute biggest highlight of WrestleMania.
What was that?
The glorious, long-awaited, amazing return of the greatest WWE star of all time. The incomparable, talented, brilliant Shane McMahon. For 2 minutes.
What a return. What a return, Shane McMahon. Impressive.
Gosh.
So, like, he's doing a segment with The Miz, who's, like, the host of WrestleMania. And I guess they were going to get into some kind of powwow. It was probably going to be a squash really quick, but, you know. Shane hops around a few times. He makes a big leap. And when he lands, he falls down. And he tries to stand up. He can't get back up. He's still on the ground. And it's because
For his ACL. From that jump.
Which is just, oh, God. You know, like father, like son, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But luckily Snoop Dogg came in and he saved the program.
And he improv that. And it was wild because it looked totally scripted at first. I was like, okay, was that supposed to happen? Was Shane supposed to be down? And then Snoop Dogg, like, kind of came in for the save? But no, like, I went on Twitter afterwards and people were like, no, that was real. Shane was legit injured and Snoop Dogg, like, came in and made up a finish. And I'm like, damn, that's impressive.
That's crazy. Like, I always assumed it was like, that's how it was all along. Like, maybe he gets the upper hand on Shane in kayfabe, and that's when Snoop Dogg was supposed to come in and clothesline him and do the people's elbow and everything. But no, apparently that was all made up, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, that's good improv. He should be on Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's wrestling, where everything's fake and the points don't matter.
Everything's fake and points don't matter.
But yeah, it was a good event, and, you know, a little birdie says that WrestleMania 40 is going to be in Philadelphia.
In my neck of the woods next year, which you'll be
Yeah.
coming for, right?
I might be in that general area around that general time frame. I don't know. But if that were the case, that means it would be the first ever WrestleMania I ever go to, and I think that would be pretty sick.
It'd be an experience for you. I don't think you've ever been in a crowd that large.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I'll have lots of anxiety, and I'll have trouble breathing, and then I'll just have to go to the hospital.
Oh, the good thing about the link is that it's open air, so, like, there's that at least.
Well, that's good. But yeah, wrestling is a thing. Vince McMahon seems to be back. We thought he was dead, but you can't kill Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon will always come back. Even when you think he's died for real, when they report it in the news, I'll be expecting a cyborg body to come out of nowhere with Vince McMahon's brain inside the cyborg. Just being like, ha! You can't kill me! I'll live on forever, forever, forever! And then he'll just always be in charge.
So what you're saying is that he's exactly like Liquid Snake.
Brother! You thought Vince McMahon was going to retire? Oh dear brother, you're not that naive. Ah. It's question time! It's question time! Hello, patrons! Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you? So, as you know, I now have a Patreon, and my highest backers, the people who I would consider Clement fanatics, can send in questions for every single C-Squared that we do. And we got a whole bunch of questions now that we're going to read off and answer right here and now.
Dope.
It is dope. First up, Gelly Elfson asks, what are your thoughts on the Shin Megami Tensei franchise, and how does it compare to other major RPGs like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest?
Yeah, so the only S&T games I've really played are Persona. Specifically, I've only played Persona 3, 4, and 5, and I love the Persona games so much. 4 is my favorite. 5 holds a special place in my heart, and 3 is just fantastic all around. And I just love how trendy everything looks, and the gameplay's addicting, and I love the stories and the characters and some of the themes that are represented in it. It's definitely up there as like one of my favorite RPGs to play along with Final Fantasy. Dragon Quest, I could definitely rank a little bit lower than the other 2 that I mentioned, but it's still like a good series. I honestly need to play more Dragon Quest games. I've only really ever played 8 and 11S.
Yeah.
But from what I have played of Dragon Quest, I enjoyed. But yeah, Persona, love it.
The only ones in the actual mainline series that I've played are SMT3 and SMT5. I finished 5, I didn't finish 3. And these are definitely very challenging RPGs that you basically have to prep for like Batman. Like, you go into a fight, I mean, personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak for myself that, like, every time I go into a boss fight, I learn what its element is, I learn what kind of moves it has, and then I generally die so that I can learn what I was killed with, and then come back with the appropriate combination in order to resist and or reflect all the stuff that they're going to do to me, and then I have a good time. But I've never really, like, jived with the characters or the story of these games all that well. Like, I know it's unique for its post-apocalyptic demon settings and stuff, but it doesn't really grab me the way Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest do. But I still like the gameplay a lot, and I still think it's worth checking out. And Persona, I love Persona. I love Persona way more than SMT. Blasphemous thing, I know. I just feel like there's a lot of flash, an amazing soundtrack, great characters. I love Persona to death. And I would put that on equal terms with Final Fantasy. And I agree. I would put Dragon Quest probably at the bottom, but I still like Dragon Quest for what it is. It's like the Mario of RPGs. It's like the vanilla ice cream of RPGs. You know, it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but it's well regarded and we all love it. And if you're going to start with RPGs, why not start with Dragon Quest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Joey asks, thoughts on Final Fantasy X-2.5?
No, next. That is my final answer.
I like the part where Titus blows his own head off. That was a good part.
The 10 series ends with 2, and nothing happens beyond that. And that is the peace I have made with myself.
Agreed. Robert Boy Genius asks, hey, thanks for reading out my previous question. Although, maybe I'm amazed that your pipes of peace could resist singing Paul McCartney. I once again have 2 questions. How did the great Clement meet the even greater Caro? And secondly, what are your thoughts on the Theatrhythm games? Thanks, and have a nice day.
Aww.
We met online.
We did meet online. I was actually a big fan of Clement and his channel. I'm pretty sure you could probably go back far enough and see some of my old comments. Don't do that! But now that I've put that out there, you probably will. But I followed him on Twitter just because, you know, I like following content creators on there, and I kept replying to his tweets with silly stuff, and for some reason, he just decided to keep replying back, and I don't know why.
And then I followed her because she was a good tweeter.
Aw.
But also, she managed to hook up with the Find the Computer Room guys, and you actually joined the DuckTales commentary, and they asked me to do the DuckTales commentary, and I was like, oh, sweet, this is an in to actually talk to Caro, this girl I've been following and messaging with on Twitter. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yep, rest pretty much takes care of itself there.
As for the Theatrhythm games, they're fantastic musical rhythm games. I think at this point you really only need to pick up the Switch or a PS5 game, like the newest version, because I wouldn't recommend the very first version on 3DS. That required the stylus only, and it wasn't until Curtain Call they let you, like, push the D-pad and the face buttons in order to do the rhythm, which I can't do it with the stylus. It's not fun when you're only using the stylus. But yeah, I love Theatrhythm otherwise beyond that very first release.
I love Theatrhythm so much. I picked up the newest version on PS5, and I've been playing that for hours and hours and hours and hours, trying to get a lot of my characters up to level 99. And, It really is the definitive version. It has so many songs, so if you're interested in picking up the algorithm, definitely get the newest version. It's great. There's tons of DLC if you're a Square Enix fan, and it's wonderful. It's one of my favorite releases so far this year.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Digital Mars asks, "Hey Clement and Caro, hope you guys are having a great day. Question for both of you, what is your absolute favorite fighting game from any series?"
For me, I would have to say Smash Brothers Ultimate. I know it's a simple answer, but I just love the wackiness of all these Nintendo and gaming characters coming together to fight each other. And obviously, the hype trailers and character reveals. It's such a special time in gaming whenever those happen. And it's a great experience. It's just such a big love letter to video games. And that's why it's my favorite fighting game.
My answer would be Soul Calibur 2, because I have a lot of high school memories, like playing with my friends to that game. I think it's got an amazing soundtrack. On the GameCube, you can play as Link, but I always play as Nightmare because he's badass. It's just such an easy game to pick up and play. I loved all the different modes that even sequels don't have. Like Soul Calibur 5 and 6, they don't have the 8-on-8 tag team mode, where you pick 8 fighters and you take on another 8 fighters until only one team is left standing. I love that game to death. Soul Calibur 2 would be my pick.
Nice.
Nicholas Scott asks, "Hey Clement and Caro, if I remember correctly, you both have played the Ace Attorney games. What are your favorite and least favorite Ace Attorney cases?" Well, my favorite would be the final case of Ace Attorney 2, Justice for All. That has an amazing twist, and the tension is so high, it's just incredible. I loved it from beginning to end. And my least favorite would be from Apollo Justice. I don't know the name of it, but it's the third case with the rock band. There's a guy with a skunk hairstyle, and a girl who is blind and somehow ended up in the most ridiculous places, even though she's blind. It was stupid, and I thought that entire case made no sense. I'm sorry. But that's my answer.
Yeah. My favorite case is also the last case in Ace Attorney 2. But if I had to pick another favorite case, just so I don't have like double answers, I also love the final case of the third game, just because I think it's a great full circle moment from what you experience at the beginning. So yeah. I liked some of the characters that come out of that, and it has like some nice twists too. My least favorite is kind of like, it's a popular pick, but Turnabout Big Top from Ace Attorney 2 is just stupid. I did not like it. It was just like, end, please. This is too much. I don't like this.
I like that the clown referenced the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Nah, the clown can fuck off.
Well, damn. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Vanilla the Rabbit 98 asks, "Hey Clement and Caro, hope you are all doing well. I just wanted to ask, how often do you guys play Splatoon 3? You guys have a happy Easter. It's also the year of the rabbit, so I thought it would be appropriate to mention since it's a part of my username." Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I like Splatoon 3 a lot. I don't play it that often because I find I play a lot of different games, and usually when it comes to a multiplayer game like that, I'll play it for like the first 2 or 3 months, and then I'll probably trail off and play other stuff. It's only like when my friends have like a little get-together and they're like, "Hey, do you want to play Mario Kart tonight?" Okay. Like, that's a moment where, sure, I'll play Mario Kart then, but in general, I've moved on from Splatoon 3. I still like it a lot, but unless people ask to play Splatoon, I'm probably not playing it right now.
I'm pretty much in the same boat as Clement, so like, I'll probably log into Splatoon 3 if there's like a Splatfest. In fact, there's a Splatfest coming up for the upcoming Tears of the Kingdom release. So I'll probably join that. Yeah, there is. Probably join that. It's kind of like my birthday weekend too, so it's kind of a bit more complicated, but we'll see.
Carrie Renee Rose asks, "Hiya, Clement and Caro. It's been quite some time. Missed you both. Hope you both are doing well. As for my question, what is an RPG that you guys want to see remastered or at least re-released onto modern platforms? For me, that's Legend of Dragoon on the original PS1. We didn't get a remaster or anything on those lines, though it did get re-released on PS4/PS5 a fair bit of time ago. Just wanted your guys' opinion. Always been a fan of C-Squared. Hope you guys continue to be your best selves." Well, thank you.
I am with you right there. I actually want to see Legend of Dragoon like remastered or remade from the ground up because it's one of my favorite childhood games. And I think like if they improve some of the mechanics in that game and update the visuals, oh my god, it would look so great. So that's my answer.
For me, a lot of PS1 games, and it would definitely have to be Breath of Fire 3 and Breath of Fire 4. The first two games are on Nintendo Switch Online as part of the Super Nintendo collection. Those games are mediocre. Those games are whatever. But Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are incredible, and those deserve a re-release. And the other one I would say is Xenogears. It is connected to the Xenoblade universe. It is quite a compelling RPG all by itself. Some of these games are on the PlayStation 3 shop, but they haven't been re-released on newer consoles. It deserves to be on Switch. It deserves to be on PS5. So those are my answers.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Styler asks, what are your top 10 favorite Sonic games? For me, number 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Second is Sonic Adventure 2. 3 is Generations. 4 is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, although some might consider that 2 different games. I don't care, fuck you.
Exactly, they are one game.
5 is Mania. 6 is Sonic Adventure 1. 7 is Heroes. 8 is Rush. 9 is Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on Game Gear. Yeah, I actually like the Game Gear game that much. I've played it a lot. And number 10, Sonic Frontiers. I actually like Sonic Frontiers enough to put it in my top 10 favorite Sonic games of all time. So, yeah.
Alright, let's blast through this list with Sonic speed.
Okay, alright.
Alright, so number 1 is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, 2 is Sonic Mania, 3 is Sonic Adventure 2, 4 is Sonic Adventure 1, 5 is Generations, 6 is Sonic Heroes, 7 is Sonic Rush, 8 is Sonic Frontiers. Yes, I did have to put it high on this list. It's great. 9 is Sonic Colors, and 10 is Sonic Triple Trouble because Fang the Sniper.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the question. The Legend of Groose asks, what's a game you absolutely love but think would be really hard to recommend to people now? Love you guys. I might get shot for this, but I do think that classic Resident Evil is kind of hard to recommend to people nowadays. Like, I know there are going to be Resident Evil fans who swear by the original, by 2 and 3, and Code Veronica, as well as the remake of 1. But, you know, I think there's a lot of people who jumped on with Resident Evil 4 onwards because they loved the over-the-shoulder camera, they liked the improved controls, as well as the scare factor of something like Resident Evil 2 Remake. And the very original Resident Evil games, they've got fixed camera angles, tank controls, unorthodox inventory and stuff. Like, those games are not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And I do think that they are hard to recommend, even if people think they're beloved and amazing. You know, there's a lot of people who don't like classic Resident Evil. I love it, but, you know, that's just me. The Grand Theft Auto trilogy from the PlayStation 2, those are archaic as fuck, and they're all worse than Grand Theft Auto 5. We didn't have any better when we loved them back in the day. But there's something I would definitely not recommend today. And just slow, grindy RPGs in general. Whether they have great stories or not, if they're slow and grindy, it's hard to recommend.
Yeah. A lot of my answers are Digimon related. Well, 2 of them really. So, the first I would say any Digimon World game. So Digimon World 1, 2, and 3. Like, it's great if you're a Digimon fan. But specifically with 1, there's so many mechanics that go into this game when it comes to evolving your Digimon that it's really hard to, like, know what you're doing wrong unless you pull up a guide online, because your stats have to be manipulated in a certain way in order to get Digimon evolved into Greymon or Garurumon or something like that. So instead of being like, oh, well, my Digimon evolved into the poop one again, how do I fix that? You have to literally go online and see how to evolve them. And sometimes it's literally like evolving just the attack stat or making sure they don't poop on the floor.
These fucking animals!
And then my second answer is Digimon Survive. Like, again, if you're a Digimon fan and you like visual novels, it's great. But if you're expecting something out of if you're expecting something like Cyber Sleuth And I know that was like a really popular release. It's a great RPG, but Digimon Survive is nothing like Cyber Sleuth. So, if you don't like visual novels, unfortunately, I can't really recommend you play Survive as a follow-up to Cyber Sleuth.
Thank you for the question. Nagarida asks, "G'day, guys. Hope March was a good month for you two. As for my question, are you two by any chance manga readers? If so, what are your favorite titles, and what was the first manga you two have read?" I am not much of a manga reader because I live in a small bumfuck town in Ontario, and we never had an anime shop or anything. We never had, we have a library, but my library never had manga or anything of the type. We never had, anime DVDs and stuff like that. I would always have to go an hour out of town to pick stuff like that up. And so I just never really got into it, and I was really just into video games and movies and stuff, and those were freely available, so I never really spent time reading manga.
I used to read manga more when I was, in middle school. So I read, Death Note and Haruhi Suzumiya and Higurashi. I would say those are my 3 favorites I read. But I am interested in picking up the One Piece manga soon because I've been going through the anime for the first time, and that's been really fun, and I'm just interested in seeing, how the manga translates. So, yeah, I might be jumping back into manga in the future. We'll see.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. And finally, Victor Glenn asks, "Aloha, C-Squared crew. Do either of you have or have had any pets? And if so, tell us all about them. Obviously, whatever you feel comfortable relaying."
Swimmy, my beta fish that I miss a lot.
Oh no.
When I was in 3rd grade, for my birthday, I got Sonic Advance 3 and my beta fish named Swimmy. And then Swimmy died a year later. That was sad. But I had 2 other birds. I had a yellow one named Sunny, and then I had a blue and white one named Sky, and they both died in their cage. But I had 2 frogs, and they were great, except they roasted in the sun.
Oh, God.
And my mom never told me this happened until last Christmas. I was told for most of my life that they hopped away. Then a Christmas ago, my mom was like, "Okay, I gotta come clean to you, Caro. Your frog's gonna run away." I accidentally left them out, and they roasted to death in the sun. And I'm like, what?!
Oh no. Oh no.
It was horrible. I was like, "Mother, why?" No, I miss my frogs. But, I do want to have lots of pets when I get older. Because I want, a bunny, and I want, a hedgehog, and I want, rats and guinea pigs and a cat.
So many things to feed.
I know, and I'm going to take really good care of them. I'm gonna have a farm.
I had 3 cats and 3 dogs. The first cat I had was a stray. We called him Usi. Not to be confused with the Usis of the bloodline from Wrestlemania, because this was ages ago. This is the 90s. Now, we just called him Usi. We had a deaf cat named Devo, who we got from a friend. And Devo, because he was deaf, there's a lot of things he didn't see coming, including the car that ran him over on the highway.
Oh.
And I remember vividly, my mom yelled up to me. I was with my friend. We were playing Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey on the Nintendo 64. And my mom just yells up to me, "Clement, I'm sorry. Devo got run over by a car. We're going to scrape him off the road."
Oh, no.
And me and my friend were just like, oh. And my third cat was a cat named Scampy, who ran away. Unfortunately, we never found out what happened to him, but he just took off one day when we let him out to pee.
Oh.
And my stepdad loves dogs, so he always picked up dogs. He had a little chow chow named Shiloh, who was very big. We had to help him out getting into places because he was so big and fat. We had a chocolate lab named Charlie. I love that guy, but he was a fraidy cat. He was afraid of vacuums and stuff. And then we had a big dog named Clooney, who I always had to lead away from woodland animals because he would tear those things apart. Good Lord.
Oh my God.
If he saw a chipmunk or something, he'd just lunge for it. I'm like, oh God, Clooney, no.
Oh no.
Clooney, please. And yeah, that's all the pets I've had. Thank you for the question, Victor Glenn.
Thank you, everyone, for all of your questions.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you want your question to be answered by us on C Squared, consider donating to the Patreon. And yeah, folks, that's it. We're done with C Squared number 11. Another one down in the bag. This is our second time recording this, so we're going to make sure the recording definitely works. I am not saying it's okay. I'm not closing my program until I know for sure it's fucking done.
Okay. It'll be good.
Absolutely.
Fine.
But yeah, Carol, you got a lot of busy stuff happening this month, right?
I do have a lot of busy stuff going on. I'm going to a wedding next week.
Ooh. You
You
gonna get plastered?
Not in front of my family. It's a family kind of deal.
Okay. I'm just gonna be editing and stuff as I always do. Yeah, right now I'm working on a Resident Evil video that should be out in the next 4 or 5 days. As of me saying this, but it'll probably be out a lot quicker than that by the time you see this video. So look forward to that. I got videos coming. They're coming down the pipeline. And the one after that is a long requested one, so it's gonna be pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. I'm just gonna be playing Yakuza Like a Dragon in the meantime and finishing that up.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that next time.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that next time. Pretty sure we're gonna talk about Metal Gear 3 and 4 next time.
Hell yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be a good podcast.
It'll be damn good. Because we're always good. This is the greatest podcast that's on YouTube. Don't you laugh at that.
No, I'm laughing because I enjoy it. I love doing these with you. Okay. Gosh.
All right then. I just needed that clarified. But yeah, folks, I am the Great Clement.
And I am Caro.
And we shall see you next time.
Bye.